Again. Um, I'm going to talk about my experience with bullying. It's part of the blog that Gray and I are working on together, but when we did it together, it lasted over an hour and a half because we kept getting off topic. So we decided we would have two different parts to it. Yes, I am at her house, but right now she's making breakfast for herself. I already had cereal with lots of sugar. Anyway, so it's kind of going to be like an autobiography in a way. Um, It's just a little bit about the difficulties I have faced. Not so much about bullying, because that is a very reoccurring thing though, is bullying. But when I was 3 years old, my parents had to break up, and I was fought over in court. If my mother had have won, then I would have probably have been sent to, social care. I don't know what the actual name is, but not quite an orphanage, not quite, I think, with my mom. So that happened, but my dad won, and I lived with him in Moncton for 5, 6 years, till I was about 9 or 10. Then at 9 or 10, I moved to Quispamsis with my grandparents. And it was a pretty rough transition because it was the middle of the night, and my father didn't move with us. He stayed in Moncton after he drove me up, and it was kind of like a surprise to them too, because he hadn't told them. And so I had to learn how to adapt pretty quickly. And it wasn't too bad in Moncton though. I had a lot of friends, except there was this one kid who always loved picking on me. I don't know why, but he would always make fun of me, just like, hey, do you want this? And then when I would say yes, he'd go like, well, too bad you can't have it, and that kind of stuff. It's not that. It's kind of silly to think about now, but it made me really upset when he did that, because I was still a kid. And yeah. So, I had a lot of difficulties in Moncton. We didn't have a lot of money. A lot of the times we would have to eat from the food bus, which was free food that they gave up to people, which was really, really nice of them. And that would only be about 2-3 times a week for us. And the other, when he was working in jobs and stuff, occasionally he'd work at a Subway or something, he'd be able to get food for us. And they would take a little bit out of his paycheck when he did that. And so it's really awkward talking about this, just so you know. But yeah, so I'm in St. John now. Well, no, I'm not right now, but 9 or 10. And I go to school in École Milledgeville North School. It's my first day. I'm in grade 4, and I get introduced to the class, and then there's O Canada. This is what started a lot of the hate, because I sang O Canada, because that's something we did every day in Moncton. It was a norm for me. I thought it was normal everywhere. It appears it wasn't. Yes, I'm in Canada. I'm a Canadian, so it's great. But the teacher, and if you're a teacher, please don't ever pick out students like this and say we should all do what they're doing, because that makes them hated on so much. It makes them a target for bullying. It's one of the easiest ways to become a target, actually, is when the teacher singles you out and say, hey, everybody should follow their example. Teacher decided it was a good idea, and we should all sing O Canada from then on, every day. And the kids kind of didn't like that. You're in grade 4, you don't want to sing it every day, right? If you're not used to it, you don't want to. And so that's how the bullying started there. Now, during the it was a lot of different things in that one year. It was during the school year and during summer. Even though during summer I didn't see any of the school people, I still got bullied because of Boys and Girls Club. There we go. Boys and Girls Club. And yeah, daycares, it happens a lot. But when I was being bullied in school, I would leave the room with stuff on the desk. I was actually a really strange one. I guess I kind of attracted attention, because once I was sketching in class or something, doodling. I wasn't that good at that age. They were like triangle heads, I swear. It was terrible. Triangle heads, flat hair, giant eyes like this. Oh god. And the hands were circles. Oh my god. I'm not saying that's bad, but I don't know. If you draw like that, I'm sorry if I offended you. I apologize deeply. It took a lot of practice for me to get where I am now. And if you like drawing, it'll take a lot of practice for you to become like the pros. I'm not even a pro yet. I don't think I am. But anyway, so I would leave my room. No, wait. I guess the pencil thing. I was doodling in class, and the teacher took my pencil, and I flipped out and hid under my desk for the rest of the class. Yeah, I kind of made the bullies target me like that too, but it was already starting from O Canada. So, a lot of the times, if I left the room with my papers on my desk of doodles and stuff, they would vanish or they would be scribbled on. And in my tech class, pretty much all the time, or in a few classes right before lunch, my lunch would be strewn across the room near the end of the class. I remember one time specifically, we were working on motion figures with clay, and we were doing like little movie clips. And I got up, and my lunch was everywhere, because like from the door, because I had left my lunch with the other people's things, and my lunch was everywhere. It wasn't like opened or anything like, so it wasn't the food that was everywhere, but the items were everywhere. So that was, and that exact same class, after I'd picked it up, I walked, at the end of the class, I walked out into the hallway and I got pushed to the ground. And I skinned my knee. And people said that the person who had pushed me down started to kick me while I was down. I didn't know if he was or not because I was in a bit of a daze from just falling to the ground and people trying to hustle by me, right? For all I know, those little boots to the back could have been, people hustling by trying not to step on me or something. So that happened, and let me think, what else happened to me? Oh yes, in the summer, because not a lot of real things happened aside from people trying to take advantage of me. So they told me to go relay a message, and then the person that the message was about ended up hating me and deleting me on Facebook and everything. Yeah, when they delete you on Facebook, it is serious. I find it kind of ironic now, but so yeah, that happened. And so during the summer, that same summer actually, because I had no friends, right? I had no friends at all in grade 4 through to 5. And it was painful because you can't really come out to your family about being bullied, and my grades were suffering because I thought I was worthless. I thought all I was doing was causing people pain. And that is one of the worst feelings. When you think that your existence is just hurting everyone around you, right? You don't want to hurt people around you, but you feel like you are just by living. And that's a bad thing. You shouldn't really think that way. And I'll kind of explain it a little more in detail after I'm done telling you my story. It's not a story, it's my life, but a lot of people call it a story, so I guess that's why that kind of slipped out. So, that summer, I was in the Boys and Girls Club, and I had a friend who was really good at drawing. I still have her picture hanging up in New Brunswick. Although, she wasn't really a friend. I've forgiven her for everything she's done. Because if you can't forgive the person, you'll never move on, right? I've forgiven all my bullies because, to be honest, I'm a strange person, and I was back then. I mean, hiding under your table, why would people not want to throw something? Like, I don't know, if you kind of have no friends and you act like that, you're making yourself a target. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I kind of, consciously or unconsciously, I ended up making the bullies target me. So, this friend that I had that is really good at drawing, and I'm pretty sure she's still really good at drawing, we hung out a lot together at the Boys and Girls Club. She was the first friend that I thought I had. And thing was, I was trying to make mangas and drawing a lot, and I really wanted to get better because she really inspired me at that moment. When she drew, it was amazing. Like, not, like this kind of amazing, but it was really good. I wish I had the picture to show you, but I don't. So, like, she was really good at that age, especially because she was around the same age as me. I was like 11 or 12 by then. And whenever I left my things with her, my drawings, she would add panels that were even worse than the things that I drew. On purpose. On purpose. She would add things that made it look worse than what I was doing. And those kinds of people that do that are just, you don't want to have friends like that do that to you, and then lie about it. I realize now that she was an extremely big bully to everyone, because she had thrown some guy's shirt in the garbage another day. And, why would somebody do that? Like, why do, it's an interesting question. But, so, despite all that, oh, and then one day, I heard her talking to someone, and she was telling the person how terrible a drawer I was. How she didn't even like me and stuff. And I was hiding behind a slide, so she couldn't see me. I know, I'm a bit of a spy, aren't I? I can hide perfectly behind a slide in a playground at the Boys and Girls Club and still be able to overhear her. And it hurt, because I thought she was an actual friend of mine, and it turned out she wasn't. And that kind of thing is one of the reasons I have trust issues. I have really bad trust issues with leaving my things alone because of her and the people in the EM&S and the people in the Kids' Choice, because people kept stealing my Pokemon cards. They would steal decks of it. I had 2 Rayquaza level EXs. Man. I really loved those EXs. And a Magnezone level EX. Man, really? Why would you steal someone's things? I suppose it was my fault for not having them on hand and leaving them in my locker, but really, why would somebody go through somebody else's locker and steal their things? And I figured out who did it too, but but their older sister didn't want to believe it, and they kept fighting me off for it. So, I knew because, okay, so the reason that I knew is because one of my friends, I'm not going to say her real name on here, but she was a real friend for me in the Kids' Choice, and she had gotten cards from the person who had stolen them, and they weren't the best cards. But there was this one card, I forget exactly what one it was, but in pen it had level EX. And it was the exact same card that I had that he had given her. And that's how I knew that it was him. But his older sister didn't believe me and decided to have an argument with me about it, and I didn't get my cards back. And it had happened more than once. It had happened twice. And that kind of thing, yeah, I have trust issues with my things, leaving them alone. So, after that, I'm pretty sure it was during the school year, but I decided that I wanted to end my life. I wanted to end it. I didn't want to cause misery. I didn't want to be bullied. I wanted out of here, because I was living with my grandparents, and I figured I'm just an extra mouth to feed. I'm already a shut-in. I barely talk to them. All I'm doing is just giving them misery. And even now I'm pretty much shut-in, but that's for different reasons. It's because I'm a little bit of a vampire for video games. Yep. So, one day while I was home alone, I picked up a knife. And I grabbed a bit of my neck like this, and I think I was planning on cutting off that bit of the neck. That was a very stupid idea, if I would have done that, because then I wouldn't have died. It just would have hurt. And then I would have to go for it again. If I was really that desperate to do it, then I would have had to go for it again. But I did this, had the knife up here, I was shaking, I was sobbing. But then, this is why I think that there are guardian angels. Because even though my mind was clouded with despair and darkness and the urge to leave this world, there was a little light. It was as if something reminded me that I was worth living. That it was worth it. It was worth struggling through all this bullying, through all this pain. Even if one of these days I would cause people pain, it wouldn't be my fault. It wouldn't be on purpose. I wanted to live again because the little shred of light that I seen was my funeral. Now, you wouldn't think that that'd be a good thing to see when you're about to kill yourself, but for me, it was life-changing. Because I seen the people that I cared about crying over me. And I realized that I would cause them more pain if I just killed myself and vanished from this world than I would to stay. Because the pain that I would have given them would have been grief. The pain that I give them while living is a form of love. Because people who love have to go through hardships in order to strengthen their relationship, right? That's how it works. But if I were to kill myself then, it would have been grief. They would have blamed themselves. Parents and grandparents especially, great-grandparents, because my great-grandfather is still alive, they're not supposed to live longer than their children. And for a grandparent, who I've been living with for an entire year by then, it would have been terrible for me to have killed myself like that. Because they wouldn't have understood what had happened. I had shut myself away from them. I hadn't told them anything about my bullying. About being bullied. I was all alone. I had no friends. I couldn't talk to my parents or grandparents about it because my mother was in Ontario, my father was in Moncton, and my I didn't want to burden my grandparents. I ended up talking to a counselor the next year, and it helped me through it a lot because I told him everything. I spilled it. I still miss him because he was an amazing guidance counselor. He helped me through a lot of it because I had no friends until I think grade 6. And then she had to leave. No, wait. Grade 5, I believe. And then she had to leave in grade 6. So I had 1 year in grade 7. I had 1 year that I had just kind of acquaintances, almost friends. I had friends from Kids' Choice that went to the same school as me, and it was nice. I'm still in contact with some of them. Well, more or less, anyways. Baby. If you're watching this video, you were a pretty good friend. I'm sorry I didn't play Warrior Cats with you as much as I should have. But I miss you. And if you're watching this, I still have that necklace. I still have the friend's necklace from our little broken heart thing that I got us. And I think about you a lot. You were the first friend I had through those tough times. The first real friend that stuck by me through those tough times. And you stayed with me, and you were always there for me, and I really appreciate it. Now, after I transferred to Quispamsis Middle School, because my grandparents wanted me to have some friends for high school, after they had eventually found out about my being bullied, I made a friend. On pretty much the first day of school, I made a best friend. She sat beside me when I was sitting in a corner near a window and alone in class. She sat right down beside me. Grade 8, last year of middle school, and somebody sat down beside me. And I was happy because I had been expecting everyone to just give me at least 5-10 feet of space on that first day by sitting in like 3 seats away from me or something. What are you doing, Gray?
What are you doing?
I'm doing my part of the blog. Which is almost 20 minutes long by now. I've pretty much been spilling my life story.
Life story.
Right now I'm in middle school.
Keep going then, you still have to get the answer.
Yeah, so last year of middle school. grade 8, and I made a friend on my first day. Because, and she is a best friend now. And I miss her dearly from New Brunswick, and hopefully I get to see her when I go my week and a half down there. She wants to see me too. Skyrim, yeah. If you ever watch this, wow. I was not expecting that, but I mean, you were there for me too, and it was nice of you. I mean, to sit beside a complete stranger on the first day of the last year of middle school. Like, I don't know if I would be able to do that, even though I know how it feels. I don't know if I'd be confident enough to do that because of my trust issues. So, how we became friends is actually very interesting. She started drawing in class, right beside me, and her drawings were really good. And it reminded me of the one from the Boys and Girls Club, but at the same time, I knew she wasn't like that. So, I started talking to her, and then I started drawing again. I had given up drawing since the Boys and Girls Club because of, well, I hadn't really given it up. I still doodled occasionally because when you are an artist, you don't really give up drawing, especially if it's something you're passionate about. If it's something you're passionate about, you never truly give it up. You always carry it inside you. And it's not going to disappear just like that because a few people decide to ruin some of the things you do. Or decide to make fun of you about it. It's not going to disappear like that. So, I started drawing, and she was drawing, and I complimented her on her drawing, and then she gave me a few pointers, and that's how we became friends. It basically started like that. It clicked. And since then, I've been able to click with any best friend that I've made. Like my boyfriend right now, Falcon, or Phoenix, Flaming Falcon 1414 on Roblox. That's right, I gave out his Roblox name. He's like never on anymore though, but he likes to be called Phoenix. He's my boyfriend. And Gray, stop grinning at me like that. Anyways,
Goofy green.
Phoenix, I met him in grade 9, I believe, actually, because he was in grade 10. And we were at the grade 9 activity fair right after school. There was a animation club, which unfortunately got disbanded that same year because not a lot of people showed up for it. And then the president was in grade 12 and always disappearing. And so, but we met at the booth, and we talked, and it clicked. We became best friends instantly. And we started dating because people thought we were dating. We hung out so much. We were practically twins. We still are practically twins. Occasionally, we can read each other's minds. And we have dreams about each other. Very creepy, but once I had a dream about being attacked by a snake, and he had a dream about me being attacked by a snake. Same night. And so that's the creepy thing. We occasionally have, like, same thoughts. Like, we'll say things at the same time. Not even just occasionally, but a lot. And it's funny. We have a mental link of some kind. Even now I miss him because he's in New Brunswick. I'm definitely going to be visiting him in my week and a half in New Brunswick. I'm really looking forward to it. That's in a few weeks. And so then so my troubles aren't really over, but I know that it's getting to the light. But then in grade 11, last year, or technically last year, I'm going into grade 12 now. Oh, wow, my graduating year. That feels weird. But grade 11, okay. But, that was a Skype message. I'm not going to check it right now, though. In grade 11, in September, well, technically in grade 10, I was given the choice. Starting in January, I was allowed to make the choice whether I wanted to stay in St. John or Quispamsis, or if I wanted to move with my father to Alberta. And it was a tough choice to make, because it would mean leaving all these wonderful friends that I had behind. And the clubs that I was in, the classic gaming club, the the friggin' trading card game club that I was the president of that year. It meant leaving all that behind, and my grandparents who had cared for me for 6 years by then. It meant leaving all that behind. And it was tough. But the decision that I made was my belief in God. That's how I made my decision, was my belief in God. Because when I had decided that I wanted to patch things up with my father. So I decided that I was going to move to Alberta. And when I broke that news to my friends, they were very sad. And we were eating free lunch, and then they left. And they were trying to get me to stay, and they were saying a lot of things about me leaving. And it made me feel really bad, because they really wanted me to stay. And I was leaving my boyfriend behind. I was leaving my entire life behind. And that is a very difficult thing to do, especially when they're begging you to stay. That day that I had broken it out to them, it was raining. I had an umbrella, and I was crying on my way to school. I was crying on my way back to school after that lunch, because I felt really bad that I had to leave them. But then, when I was second guessing my choice on a bus, second song on my playlist on randomized, the second I started doubting it, the second I started doubting myself, and that was Gray's mom, the second I started doubting myself, a song about going out west came up. I forget what the exact song is, but it's by Dixie Chicks, and I'm not sure if it was, it's Wide Open Spaces. Wide Open Spaces. Yeah, Wide Open Spaces, I believe. And it was about going out west. And I was in New Brunswick, and Alberta was out west. It was on the other side of Canada, pretty much. So that song was essentially speaking to me and telling me, don't second guess your option. You're going out west, and it's your destiny. And since I came out here, I have had a lot of deja vus, so I assume it is my destiny. And especially with Gray, I've had some deja vus with her, too.
Cat.
Gray. But I think that it was my destiny to come out here. Yes, Gray was that big fluffy kitten you've seen. Okay, it's not a kitten, but anyways. And so, when I told my boyfriend about that, he didn't quite believe me that it was God's will. So, I put back on that randomized playlist, which completely changes itself every time, and a believing song came on. I think it was Forgiven or something close to Forgiven. I'm not entirely certain, but it definitely had to do with God. And either that or Amazing Grace. I know I had both of those on my iPod at some point. And he still didn't believe it. He's like, no, that's not possible. It's not possible. And I'm like, dude, it's why are you doubting so much? He's like, because God can't speak to you through that kind of thing. He would not tell you what to do through a song. Which is kind of confusing why he would say that, because what else was God going to communicate to me through? If he can't communicate through me to me through songs, how would he be able to communicate to me, right? And that's just turned into a beliefs thing. So now I'm out here. I spent 4 or 5 months, the first half of the school year, of the good first half of the school year, alone, with no friends. I was trying to put myself out there. I joined the student council. I joined the, what's it called again? The one that was, Culture Club.
Oh,
I joined that.
The dance one.
And I also joined the dance club, and I joined badminton. And in the end, I kind of dropped out of all of them. Aside from the Culture Club. The Culture Club just stopped meeting, which was really weird. But anyway, I dropped out of all 3 of them because I was lonely. Okay, I wasn't lonely. I was too lazy to do it. And then I made a couple friends, and Gray is one of them, and now we're working on a manga together, and now we have this YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Now we have this YouTube channel, and it's going pretty good. But let me cut to the point here. Despite the fact that my life has been crap, and Gray might watch this video later to find out all of it, because I still haven't told her everything about it yet, and it's all on this video now. I've spilled myself out to you guys. And despite my life having been crap, which I don't like to think that it was worse than other people's, because I know people who have had worse lives than me. And so I don't like to brag about the terribleness of my life. Just like, oh yeah, my life was horrible. Yeah, no, I don't like to brag about that. But despite all this, my life is a lot better. As a famous, I don't know if it's famous or not, but as a quote that I read said, you have to suffer through the worst days of your life to earn the best days of your life. And that is very true for me, because I had hit rock bottom, and now I'm soaring through the sky like a marvelous freaking, what did I say that I was?
Bird.
Yes, but not that, like, which specific one? What one did I say I was? It was either flamingo or, I can't remember. I know that I'm part flamingo, though. Oh yeah, I'm a rainbow Meruni hydrotato, by the way. But part flamingo and part, jeez, I don't even know anymore. I'm just a marvelous flamingo, okay? I'm fabulous. Now I'm fabulous as a flamingo. But now, like, I had hit rock bottom, but now I am having a great life. I have family and friends who care about me. My father is a lot better, even though he used to spank me when I was younger, because it hadn't been legalized yet. And yeah, so that's why I wanted to patch things up with him, because it's hard when you fear your father. I still fear men when they're angry because of that, because I still think they're going to hit me, especially when my grandfather used to call me a bitch.
You have a very blunt family.
I do have a very blunt family, and like, it's hard. And my grandmother once, she's apologized for it, because she said she didn't mean it, and she apologized for it, but it was really rough, because my grandmother once blamed me for her stomach ulcers. She told me that it was because of me that she was like that, and that really hurts. And when your grandfather turns around and hits your knee and calls you a bitch, that also hurts. And it hurts when you're scared of your father. And when I first came out here, he threatened to kick me out of the house because I wouldn't give him my iPod. He threatened to call the police. He actually picked up the phone, and I don't know if he actually did or not, but he pretended to dial and call the police. And he grabbed me by the leg and started dragging me towards the door. He was going to kick me out of the house because I wouldn't give him my iPod. And that is still imprinted on me. It's terrifying when you're scared of your father, because you're scared they'll do things like that. It's scary when you are scared of men when they're angry, because you think they're going to hurt you. Even now I'm kind of scared of Gray, because I feel like she's going to hurt me, because she's a very violent child.
I'm not a violent child.
You're mostly violent. You hurt me sometimes. Remember the time you slapped me and made my arm red? In a handprint? That was terrible. It was just like anime. She slapped my arm really hard and there was a red handprint there.
I don't know why I did it.
It's crazy.
Why did I do it?
I don't know.
I just remember that I was very angry because you said something.
I don't know. But yeah, it's not nice when you're scared of people. I mean, I know Taekwondo. And I'm scared of hurting people because I know how it feels to be hurt. Like, what good is self-defense if you're not going to use it because you're scared of hurting the person attacking you? I mean, really. I'm scared of it hurting the person that might attack me. I don't like hurting people. Like, I'm so weak now because I don't like hurting people that if I slapped Gray, she would barely feel it. Then again, she's tough. She's got like iron skin. She's like a Geo. Holy crow.
Not that tough.
Well, almost. But yeah, so
Where's my mom?
that's my life's lesson. It's
And also story.
end story. It's hard to go through, and it's very controversial because of that. Because a lot of people think, hey, you can just talk to an adult about it, but sometimes it's not that easy. In fact, most times it's not that easy. It wasn't that easy for me, because I thought I would burden them. If you are at that point where you think you're going to burden the adults that you tell it to, or if you think you're just going to be a burden to anyone, then it is very hard to reach out. And if you have no friends, it's even harder because you don't think anyone likes you. You think that you're going to get pushed away and pushed down. And you just reach for anything, any kind of hope that you could make things better. And a lot of the times people grasp onto self-harm or like, what's the thing? Eating disorders. Like, I don't know what it's called. I'm really freaking uneducated right now. I know, right?
It's like anorexia?
Yes, anorexia. There we go. I'm very uneducated at this moment because it's hard to think. I'm like just swirling around in those depressed emotions that I once felt. And I never really truly recovered from it. Even now, if something bad happens, I will think about starving myself or just suffocating myself under my blanket. I don't do it, thankfully, or else I wouldn't still be here, because I have the willpower to stay alive. I cling to the hope that one day I'll be able to make a difference in someone's life. And maybe it'll be Gray's, maybe it'll be someone else's, but, I mean, I did help my boyfriend because, well, I'm not going to share everything, but he lost his mother, and he had a tough time with it, and I was the first friend he made in Quispamsis, and I was there for him. And it makes me feel glad because he told me one day that it was both me and time that had helped him. And that really makes you happy when you go through all that crap and then you end up helping someone else's life get better. It really helps. It really makes you happy. It made me happy. I was very glad about that. And that's why you shouldn't kill yourself. Self-harming is better than killing yourself to some extent. But Gray is looking at me disapprovingly. But then you're not dying, Gray.
It's hurting yourself.
I know, but dying is permanent. Self-harm can still heal, right?
It leaves scars, so.
It does leave scars. I have a scar, but that's because I pick at my things. I pick at my scabs, and that's why I have a scar. It's like right here. I self-harmed once with a pencil sharpener. Yeah, I unscrewed the sharp part out of a pencil sharpener and sliced myself.
Yeah.
And I still have that pencil sharpener sharper thing on the dresser in my room in New Brunswick. Underneath the little white, little frilly thing.
Frilly thing.
Yeah, that my grandparents have my grandmother probably cleaned it out already, but
I can't do that. Like, I'm too squeamish.
Anytime that I felt depressed or something and I thought about ending it, if I looked at that, it would remind me what I'd already been through. And that's why I kept it, because it reminded me that I had already conquered this. I could do it again. Even though self-harming, I don't recommend it. It's not a good way to get through to people, especially if you hide it. Mine was in plain sight, and my grandparents didn't notice it, so that kind of hurt a bit when people around you don't notice if it's happening or not. Because you would think that they would notice, right? You drop subtle hints, like you start shutting yourself away, you have a random cut on your hand that wasn't there before, and still they don't notice, they don't talk to you about it. Well, they probably did at some point or another, they might have asked me, but it's hard to talk to them about it, right? So, yeah, I'm just gonna say that.
Hi, daughters.
Hello.
Hello, puppy.
What are you doing?
Nothing really.
What's this? You have like video call or something?
No, it's a video thing.
So, what I'm trying to say is,
I was saying.
no matter what, you've got to hang on and just remember that whatever you choose to do, just try and stay on this planet. Don't let yourself disappear. Because although you might leave your body, you will never leave the people's hearts around you. Your family, your friends, you're never going to leave them spiritually. They're always going to remember you, and you're never going to truly disappear until you've forgotten. Which kind of feels weird to say in a bullying video, but it's true. I mean, I'm pretty sure my boyfriend still remembers his mom. But
And my other daughter, what
yeah,
is she doing?
a video.
A video? But that video, what do you upload to the YouTube with voice and all that, explaining all what the like all that guy do it?
What?
You see, cuando suben un video en YouTube acerca de un juego que hay un
I'm
jodido
confused,
hablando
but
de
anyway,
cómo
so
hacerlo
no
y
matter how
todo
dark it
eso.
seems, there's always going to be a light, because you can't have a rainbow without a storm. Right? So yes, that was Dragon. That was a rainbow dragon here. It's telling you my life's story, even though it was supposed to be only about bullying, but my life story pretty much has things to do with that. And I would like to stay salty, my minions, and comment if you've had experiences with bullying, or if you need help with bullying, because I'm always going to be there for you, and so is Gray when she puts her half of the video up.
Yep.
We decided to split it in two so that it didn't take too long. So, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay salty, my minions.